everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Bold Takes and Bad Tempers. I am your host, as always, Zachary Ronaldo, better known online as Zach the Bold. And I just want to say none of us are immune to propaganda. I truly want everyone to think about that for a little bit. I went to Chili's today, and I used to work at Chili's. I served my time, and I got a triple dipper. And it's the first time I've gotten a triple dipper since it hit the TikTok mainstream, since someone pulling apart some mozzarella sticks saved a multi-billion-dollar company. And I got it. I got the Southwest egg rolls and the burger bites, and I got those mozzarella sticks dipped in a honey chipotle sauce. And for some people in Europe or other parts that are not America, you will be thinking that is a vile thing, all right? And let me tell you, there's bad things out there too. It's not just in America. You got surströmming. You got, I don't know, what else do people eat? People are like, mushy peas. Mushy peas are good, apparently. The guy from Man vs. Food loves that stuff. And I don't think there are words outside of a cursed chaos book made by Slanesh because of how much of a glutton, how much overconsumption I've had, to describe how bad I feel post 30 minutes eating a triple dipper from Chili's. I almost fell asleep at the wheel. My body is attempting to cocoon itself like a larva, like a caterpillar turns into a butterfly. But on the other side, I turn into a nurgling. I turn into the girlfriend at the end of the original Prey video game. I feel gross and disgusting. Hazel Grace Lancaster said that the most pain she ever felt was a 9, because she said that it would be a 10 for when Gus, or whatever his name was, would die. Currently, I am at that 10. I feel as if I'm being waterboarded from the inside of my body on the way out. I feel as if the insides of myself have opened the box from Hellraiser. And I don't know what I was expecting. We had picked up the Christmas tree. I sawed it down. We put it up. Eventually our cat knocked over a glass the other day. At like 3 a.m., I thought someone was breaking in, and I went the Celtic Warrior route, Gaelic Warrior, whatever it is. And I went out butt naked into the middle of my living room. And that's how I'd go down. That is. You would know I've been ambushed if I'm wearing clothes when I die. If I've been shot, stabbed, maybe a drone has hit me, it is because... And I'm clothed, I've been ambushed at that point. So I run out naked, but no, my cat has knocked over a glass. So what did we do? We went out and we got ourselves a huge Christmas tree. The bottom we put in, we have linoleum floors, as does any other luxury apartment building have. And eventually our cat will knock it down. It will soak into the flooring. It will be pinned on me. I will be sued, but I'll have the triple dipper. At one point in my life, I will go to Chili's, and I'll bring all my family, and they'll watch, but I'll be sitting at my own table, and I will order honey chipotle mozzarella sticks until eventually God takes me. I think I'll make it probably past the second triple dipper, and I think that's when it's just over. I don't know where we hit the threshold in society to where we have made it so eating food is now bad for us. And that is not as like a Cynthia Erivo, Ariana Grande, Ozempic pills. Forget the last 15 years of the movements that we've made. We have now found ourselves in a position where we go to a Chili's because we have been propagandized by white teenage high schoolers that Chili's is now the best place in the entire world. And that may be true. That may be true. Some people Some people gaze upon the art of God and they feel nothing. Others, like Roderick from Diary of a Wimpy Kid, hears the belting of the soul in a high school theater adaptation of My Fair Lady and feels something. For me, I eat a triple dipper, and I wonder to myself, have I lost it? Did COVID take my brain and my soul? I'm not sure. I'm too down. I'm looking at my children. I can feel my heart slow down to the soft tapping of a jazz drum, and I realize that it's because of the power outside of what I known, and the game was rigged from the start. I might as well have been born with a Nashville hot mozzarella stick in my mouth. And you think that was it for me? You think I left the store, the Chili's, and I essentially slid down my stomach like a big buffoon? I picked these guys up. These are Junior Mints. These are Peppermint Crunch Junior Mints. And I can describe their flavor only as sucking in the breath of someone who has freshly smoked a menthol cigarette. And I ate about half the box. So I go and I gorge myself in Chili's because the propaganda got to me. And then I go and I can barely walk around. The ground shakes whenever I take a step. And I go out. Look at this. You can hear my body fighting against it right now. And I buy menthol breath covered in chocolate. And there's someone out there that's like, yeah, I have a peanut allergy, dude. That's all I had. That's all I had growing up were Junior Mints. I couldn't go Halloween trick-or-treating. And I get it. I get that Junior Mints was the thing for you. But I'm down on my luck. I've had a triple dipper. And I ate one of the mozzarella sticks. And much like the events of Event Horizon, I assume that I will wake up and there will be chaos insignias all around my room. But you walk into a Chili's and it's slow. And you look at the bartender behind the bar. And yeah, you know, she hasn't seen her kids in a bit, and that's fine. Because we're at Chili's. And I sit down and I eat it. And it's like that painting of the people in the diner. And the whole rest of the world is quiet, and it's about feeling lonely and everything. And that's what Chili's, that's where it's at. You see the videos, and it's Maroon 5 singing, and they're talking about honey chipotle chicken crispers and Southwest egg rolls. And it seems like you're going to feel something, right? But no, it's a quiet day. It's almost like Fargo. And then you go to Texas Roadhouse. And I went to Texas Roadhouse for my brother's birthday. And some people yearn for Texas Roadhouse. I did once. I'd go as a college kid. They'd have the roadkill. It's minced meat. And then gravy. I one time had a breakfast bowl. My mom took in some French foreign exchange students. And I ate a breakfast bowl with gravy on it. And she got a piece of bread with butter on it. She gagged 4 times when I was eating that. She gagged 4 times. Because she just couldn't understand the concept of like gravy on top of eggs and potatoes. And that's how it was when I went to my brother's birthday. It's like I would get the roadkill and there'd be gravy on it. And now I just look at it. And now I just look at the plate and I don't know what to feel. Because that time has passed. It's like watching The Graduate, Dustin Hoffman, The Graduate, later in life. And so I'm in the most packed Texas Roadhouse in the entire world. I think everyone went to the Macy's Thanksgiving parade and then decided to go to the Texas Roadhouse across the other side of the country. It was the most packed corporate restaurant I've ever been in my entire life. And I don't know if a lot of you have been to a Texas Roadhouse. It is literally like those guys are wearing the chum bucket hats. Those employees they start their entire shift and they are given about a handful of Molly, I assume. We get in, and apparently it is also the day of the year where it's everyone's birthday at the same exact time. My waiter comes over to us, and I say, "Hey, how you doing? Yeah, good. How are you?" And she says to me, "Wow, you're in a good mood today." Is this where we're at, ladies and gentlemen? I crawl my way from the Macy's Thanksgiving parade. It's everyone else's birthdays in the world except mine, and I get into the seat, and I'm cordial at the very most. And my server goes, "Someone's happy today, aren't they?" Sometimes I think about why people are driven to madness. A lot of the times we see these as Cthulhian entities or chaos gods in literature because we ignore from the fact that maybe Cthulhu is a server at Texas Roadhouse who is smiling and asking you why you're in such a good mood. I think these are the reasons. I think that, in all honesty, when we look at the past and we look at horror writers, I think Edgar Allan Poe wrote poetry in that manner because he went to a Texas Roadhouse and they asked him why he was so happy. And I go, "No, I'm actually having a good time." And now I'm pissed because I don't want to, now I seem like I'm forcing it, like I'm the guy who's always happy all the time. But I don't want this person to change my mood just because they asked me. "Oh, someone's in a good mood. What's going on with you?" "Well, it's my brother's birthday." And they sigh. The server sighs. Because they're also beating sweat. If I notice, it's like I'm literally Robert Downey Jr., Sherlock Holmes, and I'm noticing the sweat collecting around their collar. That's a slightly different color. The sweat collecting around their hairline. And they take a big breath because that means they have to do another big Texas Roadhouse welcome, big Texas Roadhouse birthday. We put in our orders. We're waiting for the rules. That's why anyone goes there anymore. Because some kid died breathing in the air back in like 2001 in Texas Roadhouse because the restaurant where you eat peanuts and throw them on the ground is like, shockingly, if I went to a restaurant and there was mustard gas in the air, I don't think I would. And their like shtick was that there was mustard gas in the air. I don't know if I would go there personally. We're waiting for our food. And of course, you get 1,000 sides at Texas Roadhouse. So they come on over and they bring me my Caesar salad, and it's been refrigerated since the morning. The lettuce has been 3D printed. There's like croutons and like sharp cheddar cheese on it. It looks like something that was scrounged together 7 weeks after the apocalypse, the Last of Us apocalypse, and we could put together the last ingredients inside of a publicly funded school lunchroom back in 2012. And that's what they bring out to me, and they bring out my chili, and she sets it down and she's sweating. And then all of a sudden, lines up, other servers come around, and I'm like, "Oh, they're going to sing to my brother for his birthday." And they start line dancing, and the music is abysmally quiet. I can't hear it. I have no idea how they're keeping in tune. I thought the things in their ears was to talk to the front desk or the friggin' manager. I didn't know it was to hear the music because the like AI, my collar blue, my neck is red song is playing, or it's Austin's playing, "Do your boots cut," and they're doing the thing. And I've seen line dances, and sometimes they clap and sometimes they tap their feet. And they were just doing the thing where they go back and forth, like 1 foot back and 1 foot forward. I was watching them almost do the Charleston at that point, and it was not for my brother's birthday. Apparently, Texas Roadhouse employees, for whatever reason, in the middle of the busiest shift of their entire lives, a packed full Texas Roadhouse, have to stop everything they are doing because their manager with a smile, because they know if they don't make their employees dance, they know that they will get fired, and they're on their last legs. They thought they had this job secure. They have like 7 kids to look after now. You know, sure, the first one was an accident. We had to make the second one, and needs a brother. And then, you know, you have another accidental one. Needs a brother. Oh, it's a sister. All right, well, let's make another. Oh, you got another sister. Well, that works. And then you just keep having them. You know, it turns into accidents, and later on, it just turns into who cares. You know, I have my 401k set up at the Texas Roadhouse. So this manager is making these people dance, line dance in front of me. And what am I supposed to do? Watch? Have a big smile on my face and watch? And they're wearing these shirts that say, I love my job. And I'm there and I'm watching. Oh my God, how wonderful. Do your boots keep. And you know, my nephew's reaching over and eating the cheese off my chili. And I gotta let him. He's a kid. I gotta let him eat up my cheese chili. So what? And I'm watching him scoop their butt. Right when they're done, I'm like, okay, they can get back to work. They walk across the entire restaurant. They go, attention, Texas Roadhouse patrons. We are going to get, it is little Millia's birthday. Everybody. And they hoot and they holler. And I go, okay, well, hopefully they get back to, you know, run that food. And I see the window and it's full of food. It's stacked up like some kind of effigy made in the forest. And then they go and they run to another person. Hey, it's little Bobby's birthday. And little Bobby's like 45. He's got bag under his eyes. He has to go to his local Honda dealership, and he's a salesman there. And they have these, he is so sick of people dancing in front of him. Happened when he worked at Walmart. Now it happens to him when he's a salesman at the Toyota place. Everyone, you know, the owner of the Toyota dealership comes in, Hyundai dealership, whatever car brand I said. Comes in and they're like, all right, everyone, we're going to make 1,000 sales this month. Do your boots. Everyone get up. And they get it for social media. And he's just thinking about, you know, he's on his second wife. He's got like 40 different kids to get presents for Christmas. It's little Tommy's birthday. And they hoot and they holler. And more food is being, literally they are stacking the food in the window like they're laying bricks. Like they laid the foundation of this Texas Roadhouse. And they just keep running around and they do another line dance. When are you people working? When are you guys When I worked at Chili's, when I worked at an upscale restaurant in downtown Los Angeles, I didn't have a second to talk to my tables. How are you guys playing Coyote Ugly at this Texas Roadhouse? There's 40 birthdays here. It's like when you go to Sam's Club and everyone brings their entire family. You go to Sam's Club and then you go to Texas Roadhouse. And I can't even I'm being subdued by a mozzarella stick in my stomach that is fighting back. And I'm eating peppermint crunch junior mints. And I just, what are we supposed to do at this point? We have to dance. We got to do the jig, the housing market, the job market's in the toilet. This is BoldTakes and Bad Tempers. It is a Dungeons and Dragons podcast by yours truly, where people send in their reasonable stories about their DMs crashing out. This is a wolf sweater my late grandmother had, but it is quite warm. Some person in Silver Lake is going to message me and say they'll give me $700 for it. So I have a mice problem, and it's no longer that they're reproducing. Instead, they are very clearly walking around on their knuckles up there. They look like those weird symbiote things from Dead Space. I assume at some point they're going to get the size of a dog and they'll fall on me, much like this bookshelf, and will inevitably be my demise. I want to say with the Avatar video, I just cannot, I did not prepare my friends for the absolute critiquing they would get from actual Avatar fans about how wrong they got the lore. As if we didn't establish in that video from very early on that we clearly don't know anything about Avatar: The Last Airbender, and that we haven't watched the series in like 15 years. And they're like, well, this guy actually got this wrong. Well, this guy, how do you play D&D? This is the big one. Some guy goes, do you play D&D? You don't know about power systems versus magic systems? No, dude. I'm not on your level of being a dork enough to know, okay? I don't watch Power. I don't watch, the who would win battles on shonen anime. I don't. And I don't care about the difference between a power system and a magic system. If someone's using a stand from JoJo or casting a spell from a wand, it's magic. That's what it is. You can't do it in real life. You can do it in there. It's magic. It all boils down to the same thing. So my buddies are texting me. They're like, hey, these guys are like saying this. Like, oh my gosh. I go, dude, like it was a wake-up call for me. Because I wanted to be like, dude, well, yeah. Well, of course people are like, they say about that about anything. You should see the comments on the first episode of BoldTakes and Bad Tempers. And I had to it was a wake-up call for me to be like, oh, right. A lot of times it's like going to your local game store. It's like going to your local game store, and sometimes people are really cool and some people are dorks. Sometimes people will watch your game just to be a judge, and they're not an actual judge of magic. They're just dorks. But I don't want to have that sentiment, because I've clearly stated my problems with some forms of content in the past where it's just you reading and that is your shtick, is you reading from Reddit or something. And yeah, the podcast is questions that you guys have sent in, but funny enough, the bread and butter is not the podcast. It's the shorts that have gotten me to where I am right now. But the other one I want to say I have a problem with is how if you make your content every time just to be like, this stinky, dumb, autistic person at my local game store was weird, I have no respect for that at all. I have no respect for that at all. Listen, maybe you throw one in right there again where you're like, when this weirdo at the game store is doing this. If your entire shtick is time after time after time is to make fun of people who go to your local game store, you're playing G.I. Joes with stinky guy who go to game store when you don't even go to a game store, versus the reasonable one, people are like, I can't stand it, dude. Yes, people are weird at a game store. Do we have to perpetuate the fact that people are weird at the game store? I've had plenty of normal experiences at the game store. Can we not talk about anything else? All right. We're going to get into questions now. My body is finally, I think, bouncing back. I've been trying to drink some water. Hey, Zach the Boing. Big fan of what you do. You've helped me immensely with confidence in TTRPG and D&D likes. For that, I'd like to thank you. My body's starting to heat up. I had to take off my slippers. I got slippers on under this. My dogs are barking. Now that with that out of the way, I'll be talking about a more minor disagreement I had with a problem player of mine. They made bigger than it needed to be for no reason. And I'd like to know how you would have handled this situation. I think my first mistake was allowing him to dual wield pistols as a gunslinger. Not that letting players do that is a bad thing. My players just seem not to be able to hand this quote unquote great power. So in one combat, I thought he was attacked. Where'd I go? So in one combat, I thought he attacked 4 times, when at the time he had only 3 attacks per round. So a simple solution, in parentheses, at least I thought, was to mark down a tally mark on a scratch paper in front of all the players. And I did so, and he attacked 3 times. And then went for a 4th attack, and I stopped him, and I told him that was his 4th attack. We had a minor disagreement. So after I was annoyed, I had done, So after I was annoyed and done, so I had 3 solutions. Even before I read your solutions, if you are tallying in front of this guy, the amount of shots he has taken, where you have the evidence right in front of him. Is this guy so stubborn? Zach, I've had this problem player. I'm tallying in front of him, and he goes into a blind, unadulterated rage because he doesn't get to roll a dice one more time. Zach, what do I do? Oh, man. Zach, I have this buddy. He's an accountant. He has kids. He's respected in the community. He goes to local town meetings to deter data centers from being built on his hometown. And he's the most reasonable man I've ever met in my entire life. And then he sits down at my table and he goes to take a 4th attack. And I told him, wait, hold on. You can't do that. And I got to be honest with you. I woke up, my brake lines were cut in my car. Zach, I got to be honest with you. He picked me up one-handed. He picked me up one-handed by the throat. My feet were dangling. My wife saw it. And she's been sleeping on the couch lately because of it. Things in my life have changed because of it. What do I do? Is this my fault? So I came up with 3 solutions. 1, he could accept the round and his 3 attacks and the outcomes. Totally reasonable. 2, we could redo the first attack since he didn't remember it. So this is the angle he played. Well, I don't remember the first attack. Dude, you have 70 damage on the board. It's not even quantifiable to do that amount of damage with just the dice you would have rolled in 2 attacks. And then he breaks. And there's silence in the room. And he's just standing there. He's sitting up. He's not blinking. A tear rolls down to his chin. He looks down at his feet. And he says, I was laid off from the accounting firm today. And everyone looks at each other. I'm sorry, man. That sucks. I'm sorry. It's my fault that I'm playing this way. And I'm kind of making it so I give myself some control over my life kind of vicariously through my character. And you look over at your friends and they're disgusted at you for doing this to him. And your wife has her head in her hands. He looks back up at you and he goes, I'm sorry. I think I need to go. And you go, no, you don't have to go. You don't have to go. No, it's fine. Like, you can do a 4th attack. That's fine. Like, we'll say it's like, you know what? I don't even really remember the first one. I think I tallied first as like an example and left it up. And maybe I just like filled in the blanks. It's okay. He goes, no, I think I should go. And someone stands up from across. DM, what the heck? And you're like, and your wife can't take it. She gets up and she leaves. And you're like, what? I don't listen, I'm sorry about the job. And you look back and he's putting his jacket on and he opens up the door and the cold wind blows in, the snow. He goes, I'm sorry, I'm letting in the cold air. And he leaves the door open and he just walks to his car and you see him get into his car. It's a 2001 Ford Focus station wagon. You can't really make it out from this distance, but you think you notice a mattress in the back seat, in the trunk. And the door opens and you notice the dome light doesn't come on. And he closes the door and you see him like probably pretend to turn the key. And then he just rests his forehead on the wheel. And everyone's getting cold in the room. And because your energy needs to be put into data centers by the federal government, your power turns off. This is what it's like to be a DM. This is what it's like to deal with these kind of situations. They are unpreventable. There is no way for you to look at your players in the eyes and tell them, you are being immature, and this is ridiculous. This is a co-op game. DMs, thousands of them every day, are pinned for the problems that are brought onto their players from outside sources. A job loss, a loss in the family, not being able to get the right amount of Christmas presents in time, being added to like a group chat for a trip to Japan next year. And it's like, these are the things that players don't realize DMs have to deal with. And so this person writes in and said, number 3, we could redo his whole turn. He said all these options were cheating. And so I was a little confused and annoyed. So I replied saying, so anything you do makes you a cheater? And his response was, okay, my character's dead. Everyone's happy now. I didn't realize you were playing with Tim Robinson, dude. Okay, I'm dead. I'm done now. My character's dead. I quit. I'm done. You're rubbing your temples. Oh my God. Maybe the situation I just made up, where he goes into a Ford Focus station wagon, maybe that's better than what just happened here. And so his character just ceased existing. I'm guessing he thought I'd baby him, but I agreed with him. Finish the combat. He goes, nope, I'm done. I guess I'm dead. And you go, yep, you are. That's awesome. That's epic, actually. Mostly because he made these jokes before, and they're always when he didn't agree with a ruling. No matter how minor or major the issues were. I had more stories if you'd like to hear them, ranging from nearly having a physical altercation and minor annoyances. I feel like this is somewhat in the middle. I know I just talked about reading Reddit, like on like how much I hate that when people do that for like their shtick. Did you guys see that Magic the Gathering post, that r/Magic the Gathering post? That was like, I was just assaulted at my pre-release, and it's terrible, and it's awful, and no one should have to experience this. But this story is about a person who, and it's really bad. It's bad. Went to the Avatar pre-release, and they sat down, and they were so nice to their opponent. They said their VV mat was cool and whatever. And apparently by the end of like the first or second game, they had their opponent literally got up and clapped like this and smacked the cheeks of the person. And they were, essentially like everyone stopped and looked, and this guy, I guess, stormed out, maybe banned from the store or something. Guys, I have to give you the advice right now. If someone assaults you at an Avatar pre-release by literally doing the thing Billy's dad does to people from Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, the inadequate response is to go onto Reddit and be like, guys, so this thing happened, and I don't know what to do about it. You were assaulted. Maybe the answer isn't to jump onto Reddit and be like, guys, I think I was just assaulted. Someone clapped their hands and smacked my face like this and left. Press charges, shockingly, and get them banned from the store. Okay? Shockingly, that is the answer. And maybe stand up for yourself a little bit. All right. Again, there is no question here, but that's fine because I say write in your stories or whatever. I think it's funny that you like baby mirrored him. That's like something I very much would tell everyone to do. I would go, just be like, yep, you're dead. You are dead, actually. Actually, you are. This thing is shaking a lot more than usual. Maybe it's not. Actually, you are. He gets up and he storms out. I mean, like, what are the conversations after something like that? I've gotten mad at Magic games before and, like, apologized to my friends where I'm like, hey, I got really quiet because I was being targeted too much because I had the wall of Bossing Say out, all right? But, guys, I just can't. I'm almost on the edge where I'm like, you guys need to play more competitive anything. Sports, dueling piano bars, Guitar Hero, Magic, board games. I need you to bring more strife and competition into your life. Because then when you go into a cooperative storytelling game like Dungeons and Dragons, you realize how ludicrous, how ridiculous it is to be beefing this way about cheating in a game where it's about being cooperative. How ridiculous. Hey, Zach, I'm a DM of a homebrew campaign for 4 of my friends. We are level 9 and have been playing together since January 2025. The story revolves around players stopping an evil cult trying to release Theruzidon, the god of chaos, from his chained prison, preventing chaos destroying the world. Players encountered an evil magical book early in the campaign, the Book of Vile Darkness. Yes, that book. For anyone wondering at home what the Book of Vile Darkness is, it's from the DMG. It does bad stuff. It's made by Vecna. I've never used it. I kind of like know it a little bit, but like, I don't know. I don't know what the setbacks and stuff are. It's just one of those things where it's like, so yeah, it's that book. The Book of Vile Darkness. We all know that one. And maybe we do. Maybe I'm late to the game. The players gave that book to a paladin of Tyr to destroy it, but the book and the paladin vanished 6 levels later. The players encountered the book left in an abandoned house they tracked a devil to. After experiencing visions of the end of the world and Thorazodon being released, they gained exhaustion and discovered the book. One of the players opened and read from the book. He failed his charisma saving throw, and his character turned into a larva. The player was visibly angry, not just upset, but mad at me that this happened to his character. After the session, he messaged the group chat saying he was quitting the game and left the group. He also said he was canceling his own game. And he just started a few weeks ago, which I'm a player in. Is this an overreaction from the player being turned into a larva? Or was it a cheap use of a book of vile darkness on the player and let him attempt to read from it? The book is called The Book of Vile Darkness. You one step away is saying book of vile atom splitting, book of rectal explosions, book of turning inside out. What is it about some players being like, oh, this book gave me a level of exhaustion and is inherently tied to an evil cult and is like, what other context clues? And they're mad about it? What did they expect? Like a Code Lyoko, like a Evil Dead 2, like what other context clues is this DM could have given to this player that would have made it so they didn't get up with a loaded diaper? They were pissing their pants and raging so hard that they were reading the book of don't read book because your prostate will explode out your throat. And they go, my character died. Oh, this is so unfair. Why couldn't you have told me that? Listen, buddy. Listen, were you wrong? Is this the kind of player you want at your table? Do you not feel like a load off your shoulders? What happens after that? Do you stop talking to each other? Does that person have to look their loved ones in the eye and tell them, like, yes, we stopped talking because of a game of Dungeons and Dragons, because I was turned into a larva, because I read the book of sticking a Stellanda up my ass? I don't know how you say that word. It's the grenades from World War I with the handle. Love the podcast, man. Too long didn't read. A player read a book, Vile Darkness, and failed to saving Chloe. Players quit the game. Mr. Bold, I really enjoyed listening to the pod for the last few months and look forward to its continuation until the next hiatus you need for stockpiling ideas just to clear some time. I'm relatively new to D&D and I've played in 2 games, one with friends and one online. It's given me the DM bug. I've been IDing on a world, locations, and encounters, and have been enjoying that. It's been giving the same catharsis that making the character does as a player. Now, with all that being said, I don't really have an interest in actual story or campaign within this world. Should I try to run a sandbox led primarily by the players, or just give up and run a pre-written story? Thank you for your time, and as always, keep being bold. I will be honest with you. I don't think as a DM I've ever had this thought ever. And the fact now that I've realized that someone may in my life multiple times has had this thought, I am now realizing I have played in so many games like this that someone just had an idea to run a cool world and they genuinely thought it was okay to be like, let the players lead it, I guess. I guess I'll just make the cool world and let the players lead it. Guys, I gotta be so real with you. A part of making the world is making a plot hook for the story. Otherwise, it's just a setting. There are some players that would love to play a game like this, and they would love to read the Book of Vile Darkness in your world and, find the plot. But I am an adamant and staunch believer that your players do not know what they want. If you run a player-driven story, you're not going to get a great story. You're going to be feeding the egos of players for 3 hours out of your day because you want to not prep a story. And listen, some people like that. That's their thing. They love it. They sell cars at a Hyundai dealership and they go to Texas Roadhouse for their birthday. And that's fine. If you're asking for my advice, buddy, do not do this. Do not make a world and get all of your friends together so that you can place them in the town square and go, well, what would you guys like to do? Because shockingly, you're missing an integral part of the game, which is, of course, making the story. I don't want to play Kenshi. I can play Kenshi whenever I want. I don't want to play Sims. I can play Sims whenever I want. I don't want to play Sim City. I can play Sim City whenever I want. I want a story, and I want to interact with it in a way I cannot do it in video games with my friends. I don't say that running a pre-written story is a good alternative to that because I think making a homebrew world is the most fun out of all of it. But there's something there. You've done the hardest part. You made the world. Now, what is the one thing in the world that can happen that will set off the events of the conflict? What is the first rising action? What sets the world to be changed by your characters or by the villain? And if it's not that, if a story rises from something, you're going in from it already from the wrong point of view. Because your players shouldn't want to make the story. Your players shouldn't want to make the story. You should make the conflict, and your players help write the story. They don't make it, they help write it. It's cooperative, it's collaborative. That's so funny. I've never once in my entire life have thought that way about a D&D campaign. Should I just do this? Should I just? No, you're more than halfway there. Just make the rest. Generic person, LaFour Square, sent in £5. Congrats on getting to episode 30, Zach. Great episode as always. I didn't like the podcast that much before this one. Always felt like people just droning on endlessly. Your format is refreshing. I didn't like podcasts that much before this one. I always felt like people are just droning on endlessly, but your format is refreshing as the 3 sections of each podcast episode, the rant, the questions, and the super chats, feel distinct and fresh, which makes listening to it very enjoyable. Mostly because you commit to the bit that aren't afraid to be wrong, like the Korean War thing last episode, or afraid of ruffling feathers. It's very authentic and funny. Anyway, my dry analysis of why I enjoy the humor aside, stay safe, and I see you at the next video. Thank you. I appreciate the kind words. I think it's just more of a thing where, why, am I so restricted to be, sure, I guess so, right? I'm restricted as a comedian to, the shtick I put on, which is the D&D thing. And I love D&D, and, I love everything about it. I mean, I've committed my life to it now. For longer than 2 years, but legitimately for 2 years now. But it's does that mean I can only make, the only thing I can make is when the barbarian mad? When I read the Reddit story online? When I make fun of the fat guy at my LGS? The stinky guy at my LGS? Am I constrained by that? Do I not want a future in a different way? Maybe I don't want to just be doing that because I have the shorts for that. I will be doing that, right? But there's a lot of things that just bother me with people who are this is my shtick, and the only comedy I can do possibly has to be within the confines of what is already pre-established. Give me a break. Give me a break. All right. James Gunn Roland sent in $5 and says, love your podcast, Zach. Thank you, James Gunn Roland. Colson Hughes, 879, sent in a big $20. Zach, the Trolled by Mice. I really love listening to all the rants, and I've listened through the podcast about 3 times now to fall asleep. My question is, if you have a group of friends all relatively new to D&D, how do you feel about ChatGPT running the games as the TM? Would this ruin the experience or probably work out fine, assuming the prompt is inserted correctly? And now that I think about what if I don't have any friends and I have ChatGPT run the other players too? and I'm playing it by myself in a dark room pretending to have friends. Zach, would this be a good way to get into the game? Jokes aside, it's not a joke. Would having the DM be GPT not sit well, or do you think it would work fine? It's not D&D if it is. I understand the sentiment. Sometimes it's hard getting people together. Sometimes you just want to play the game. I'm so serious. I think I'd rather you just play like and I'm not saying this to pander to AI bad. Are my legitimate thoughts that I think AI is bad because we don't have systems in place to replace the jobs that I take? Do I think it is taking up like small towns and farmland for data centers to suck up water and also like bump up like these crazy GPUs to run on a 70s grid for inevitably what's going to happen, which I think is going to lead to some pretty bad stuff, both environmentally, geopolitically, and the race for all this to get done? Yes, right? With that said, I don't want to pander to be like AI bad, right? What I want to say is what you're describing to me, joke, not joke, is not D&D. And I say this with online text role play as well. That is a different thing. That is not D&D. Dungeons and Dragons, and I'll allow this for like videos and everything, is to get with your friends or even strangers and tell a story together. It's not the same thing if you do that with ChatGPT. It's not the same experience. And it's probably not the same. It wouldn't be, if that was the equivalent of what we would have back in the 80s, I don't think it would have lasted this long or have the following that it does. I think you're robbing yourself of these experiences, right? Me telling you not to do this isn't going to be like, well, Zach the Bold told me he wanted to, so I'm not going to. Does it affect me in some way? Yeah, because you're using ChatGPT and it, but like in reality, no, right? No. What I'm telling you, because you're asking me, is that you're robbing yourself of an experience that is whimsical, that is insane, that will make you see people do and open up in ways you've never thought. And that's not me saying that D&D is therapy. Do not come to my table and think it's therapy, because it's not. But it's like not going to the gym. You're only cheating yourself. And it's out of this experience. Like, our codes shouldn't be, is this D&D? Is me using ChatGPT bad for this? Because, like, yes, I understand your questions are in those places. But have you ever thought about, like, what does this do for yourself? What does this do? Like, what are you robbing from yourself? Not everything has to be this kind of like black and white, predefined questions that other people have made about whether or not this is a good thing or a bad thing for a multitude of factors. Sometimes you just got to look at yourself. You got to look inside yourself and be like, is this something I want to do? Even if it's not something, if it is something I want to do, what am I robbing myself of if I'm not putting that time into other things, like making an actual D&D campaign? So I appreciate the big $20. I think it's a big question coming up in these last few years and will be in the future. But I think, like, no matter what, like, the experience is supposed to be about playing this game with your friends. It's supposed to be about playing this game with your friends. I've run like stale dungeon crawls with a DM who doesn't care about story pretty much at all. I had a great time because it was with the right people. It was with my friends. Would I have preferred it to have a story and like a better story and all these things? Yes, of course. Like, that's where more of the magic comes from. But ChatGPT won't give that to you. It just won't. Corbor4646 sends $5. Hey, Zach the Beast. I heard you mispronounce Dungeons and Daddies as Dungeon Dads earlier and was wondering if you listened to their new sister podcast, Gumshoes and Dragons. They solve murders very akin to what you described in your Why Wouldn't You Want to Live in Your Fantasy World video, and they're always looking for guests to play the murderer. I'd love to hear your thoughts or see you as guest star. Let me see the cast real quick. I have met Beth May, but I've not met any of the other cast members of Dungeons and Daddies. So I don't know. I'm always 1 degree off from them. I'd always be down, of course. That'd be super cool. Yeah, I'll look into it. The thing is like, I just don't drive. I don't have a commute. When I'm at the gym, I'm thinking of ideas, so I don't listen to podcasts. So it's hard for me to find a time to listen to podcasts now. And it's like, I'm already behind with the new Critical Role season, and there's like so many other things. Like, I still want to go back and listen to the final episodes of If I Were You featuring Jake and Amir, which was like the podcast I listened to featuring Jake and Amir. Like, that was their podcast. And like, I haven't even listened to the Campaign 3 of NADPOD yet, dude. So it's a lot of stuff like that. Maybe like if I can make it so I free up more time in my day, maybe I will. Thanks, Nathan Bush, 1208, sending $10. Thanks for your advice not to walk in the woods on my deathbed, Mr. DeBold. Curious what MTG Commander decks you're brewing next. Also, did you know about That's Rough Buddy emote on Arena? I hope you spam it too. Yeah, we needed like a Clash Royale, like, we have like the dogs laughing in Arena, but it's not the same. It's not the same thing, right? We needed like a That's Rough Buddy. Like you're playing Landfall and you got Tifa, lethal on turn 2 because of Badger Mole Cub, which I don't think is possible at the moment. I don't think so. What am I brewing next? I was going to brew the Toph Naya Commander, and it just seems so boring to me. Everyone's doing it just because it's so good. I pulled that Badger Mole Cub and whatever. I'm a little fatigued at the moment. I built 3 new decks. I brewed that Azorius Heliod, the Jund Treasure Commander, which is a lot of fun. And then I did that Abuela or whatever, which is the Boros artifact deck. And all of them kick butt, and they're great, and they're fun. I'm a little fatigued of Magic at the moment. I think it's just because I'm trying to get so much more done in other regards, and we've been playing a lot of like cooperative board games so much. But, I've actually been playing a lot more Arena lately, so maybe it's just Commander. I don't know. I played a lot of Commander at PAX Unplugged, so I could just be fatigued from that. Brent Burgerman sent $10. Hey, Board Game Germa. You guys remember Board James from AVGN? That was an awesome series. Throwing in monthly contribution. Oh, Brent Bergman sent $10. Nathan Bush sent in $10. So thank you guys both. Throwing in my monthly contribution until you finally accept that people want to fund your great content and open a Patreon. It is coming. It's on its way. I would also like some advice. We'll probably actually move if like some Patreon tier to have it so that you don't have to be putting them into the super chat, because like then I'm just big and greedy, we'll figure that out for sure. Patreon. I also like some advice on a situation, my D&D table. I'm a new player and my DM is a friend of mine, but even as a novice, I've noticed some real issue with their pacing of the story and lack of focus between sessions. However, when I brought this up to him in a constructive manner, we discussed it like equals as adults, and he dedicated to addressing these problems. He thanked me for bringing them up, but now I don't have any absurd situations to write in about, and you're getting less content to yell about and make your facial veins bulge. What is a good saw trap to put him in so you can clearly intentionally sabotaging your What is a good saw trap to put him in for so clearly and intentionally sabotaging your podcast in this way? Thank you. It's like that thing in Good Will Hunting. One of these days, is this Boston? We were at the airport in Chicago Midway, and literally this guy, we go to this place, it's like called like Chicago Burgers and fucking whatever. And we get this guy and he comes up, he's like, "Hey, yo, what's up? How are you guys doing? Can I get you something to eat?" He literally goes like Big Apple, the Big Apple, Times Square, bagel and schmear, and walks away. And my girlfriend looks over at me. She's like that. She goes, "Hey, that guy's a true Chicagoan. I'm looking at him. Literally, this guy behind us, our waiter, the same guy goes, "I love the Mets." At that exact time goes, "Love the Mets. Don't be yelling about my Mets." I go, Elise. This is the most New York man to ever New York in my life. All right. Yeah, it's that scene in Good Will Hunting where he's like, "One of these days I'm going to wake up. I'm going to go to your house. You better not be in it." All right, or something like that. I don't know. He's a construction worker. It's Ben Affleck. He turns into Batman later in the movie. What is a good Saw trap for him? God, I think I've only seen Saw 1. Saw 1's a good movie, unironically. I've seen Saw 2. I haven't seen Saw 3. The first 3 Saws they're fine. The needle trap in Saw 2 is probably my least favorite out of all. Again, I haven't seen Jigsaw. Jigsaw Story Untold. What would be a good one for doing that? Man. What is like something exhausting to me that I can't even... I think what you need to do is put him in a time loop of watching the last season of Game of Thrones over and over again, and he feels that disappointment. But every time that time loop is restored, he remembers it 0.01% more. And so he has to go through this at least like a million times before he starts to really catch on. Just so he can see the greatest series like of all time just be ruined. Just kidding. The greatest series of all time is Half-Life VR AI by Wayne Radio TV or something. It's not actual AI. It's them pretending to be. It is the funniest series in the entire world. And next March, they're coming out with the Half-Life 2 version, which I'm so excited about. Papillon7210 sent in $10. Glad someone was able to split this up into 25 YouTube shorts so I can watch it every 15 seconds in between the flavor of the week video game clips and AI-generated thirst traps so I can finally parse what this podcast is about. Thank you, Papillon, for the big 10. Always appreciate everything that you do. Blue Bread 00 sent in, just got off my oh my god. This is so Blue Bread 00 sent in $5. Just got off my 16-hour shift at the ball crushing factory. My wife left dinner in the microwave. I hungrily scarfed down the bowl of chili while scrolling through my YouTube subscriptions page. Oh boy, a new Zach the Bold video. Something to watch before bed. I walk up to the darkened bedroom. The wife is asleep. I lay down, put in my AirPods as I'm greeted with the familiar tones of Zach's Mads ravings. My eyelids are heavy. It's dark. I'm cold and shivering. Why? Then I hear it. Drip, drip, drip. It's getting quicker. Suddenly, I'm aware of my surroundings. Why am I laying on a hard floor? My eyes slowly adjust to the darkness. I'm in a cold, furniture-less room. The dripping sound is coming from a darkened corner. I reach for my phone's light and quickly turn it on. Shining it in the corner. There he stands in a full flop sweat. As soon as the light meets his darkened, baggy eyes, he begins shouting. Taken aback, I begin pushing myself in the opposite corner. Then I realize he's not shouting at me. His eyes are glazed over, but I can see he's not making eye contact. He goes into a tirade, shouting about Apple Vision Pro's oil rig working conditions, children with melting braids, the Midwest. Oh God, the Midwest. He told me about of the things yet to come. The walls are beginning to melt. My breath stops as I gasp for air, yet nothing fills my lungs. I'm choking. I shoot up gasping as my lungs fill with breath. I'm back in bed. Oh, it was just a nightmare. I turned to the back of my still sleeping wife. Wait, was her hair always this short and curly? Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Blue Bread. Yeah, my bags are getting worse, I've noticed. I had trouble sleeping like a couple days ago. I don't know what it was. When like you go to bed and you're like, oh, I can't sleep. I'm scared that I won't be able to sleep for the whole night. And then that turns into the whole night. That is what happened to me. So I know they're getting worse. I think what I got to do is just like do stem cells, Ozempic, and honestly just MK Ultra me. Honestly, throw me in the MK Ultra chamber. I need to be like I need to be the equivalent of Mason. I need to ask where Reznov is. He died in Vorkuta. And I need to know, what do they mean? What do the numbers mean, Mason? Thank you, Blue Bread. Appreciate it as always. Thanks. Nathan Bush, 1208, sent in a big $2. Also, I've been describing D&D and other games as storytelling games. I feel that fits the genre better personally. It's not bad. It's not the worst one. That could work, I guess. But D&D, does the right thing of making some people mad that I want to. So, as always, I think I'll stick with that for right now. Who knows? So, who knows? Maybe you guys will see me on some, on Keemstar. What was the other guy's name? I'm thinking back to, 2016 YouTube, where I've started beef with, 40 other creators for calling them out on the content they make. Oh, well. Guys, thank you, as always. It's been a tired show. I feel a little bit better now that we made it through the entire Triple Dipper. I'm going to spend the rest of the night honestly contemplating and yearning. Probably lay on a snowy set of stairs and look at the sky, Blade Runner 2049 style. But thank you guys for tuning in. It's going to be a great week. We'll have a lot of great stuff coming out. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to plug or say, and I don't think so. So thank you as always for tuning in. If you have questions, sticky situations, or anything else, you can head on over to BoldTakes@outlook.com. Don't make fun of the email. And you can send it there while I will read it eventually. I'm way behind on it, but I'm always looking for more people, more questions to come in. So ask about anything, whatever, as long as it's D&D related. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.